you see huge pieces of equipment, and everything was just so dynamic. I kind of fell in love with it.
When people are seeing your lapel pin, KPMG, somebody might think audit, consulting. They're looking at me thinking nonprofit. But we share something around having hearts of manufacturers. Mine more adopted than yours, which was truly forged in manufacturing. And you've told me how you are manufacturing at your core.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your experience in manufacturing that's brought you here.
And I was born in Cleveland, and you always see heavy industry all around you in Cleveland. I can't tell you the number of people in my family that worked either at the steel mill or an auto company or something that was manufacturing related. When I went to college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. People told me I was good at math and science, so engineering seemed to be the right thing. Like any good materials guy would do, I went down to the steel mill. And so my career in manufacturing kind of started by me taking a role at the time, it was LTV Steel, as a metallurgical management trainee. But then I walked in and you see these huge pieces of equipment all around you, gears that are like larger than your entire body. And everything was just so dynamic that I kind of fell in love with it.
Why do you like manufacturing so much?
So first of all, as a child, I loved tinkering with stuff and making stuff, right? When we made steel, it was real easy to see the value you were contributing to the world because all you had to do was walk outside and look at a car, right? And all of a sudden, the product that you were making is being driven down the street. It's exciting. I mean, it's amazing to really be able to touch the stuff that you contributed to and be able to tell your kids that, hey, look, Dad did that.
So you are inside companies all the time.
Right.
You're helping them digitally transform. You're helping them look at their strategies. What are you seeing out there in the world today?
I think that a lot of companies fall behind because their leadership is focused on generating short-term revenue, especially with a lot of the cost challenges that we have in the environment today. We've had a whole bunch of increased, obviously with the current inflation rates, increased labor costs, and I think a lot of companies are trying to survive in a short term. And, it makes it a challenge to really convince them that they can see anything beyond what's beyond arm's length.
What do you tell them?
I always say that the way to get any type of transformation is to pay the way. Like, get the dollars out there first and show where I'm giving you value. And then, it makes it a lot easier to make other incremental progress when, I'm already giving you demonstrable value.
Thinking of like Northeast Ohio now, just thinking about the industry overall. I'm going to start with it. Just your pride for manufacturing or your pride for this region.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe it?
I'm born and raised on East 123rd and Buckeye in Cleveland. I have a lot of pride from coming from the city. When I walk through the city today, it's very different than it was when I was growing up. All of the manufacturing facilities that I would walk past as a child, many of them are closed and defunct. That is disturbing to me. Right? It's disturbing because growing up here, like manufacturing was kind of like the heart of being from Cleveland. And to a large extent, it still is. To a large extent, we still have one of the largest manufacturing bases in the U.S.
It still drives our overall economy.
And so it still drives our overall economy. But it's been stigmatized. And I look at like a lot of the younger people, and and they don't have the zeal, the enthusiasm about entering the manufacturing sector that I did. I grew up here in Cleveland, and there was nothing more valuable to me than coming and contributing to the city of Cleveland. And interestingly, that goes hand in hand with contributing to the manufacturing sector.
So those manufacturers that have been defunct, they're either defunct or they moved into the suburbs.
Right.
Absolutely. The jobs are not here in the city where there's tons of people that could still benefit from them.
Right.
Is that the only reason that you think people, the stigma, like kid like you wouldn't necessarily feel that way toward manufacturing, or is it more?
The stigma is driven by, number one, there was a huge myth that all these manufacturing jobs were stolen by China, right? So we told a story that many manufacturing jobs had gone to China and that there weren't opportunities in the manufacturing sector anymore. Number two, it's dirty, right? And people still have the view from 30 years ago. People think about the steel industry today and think that, you go there and there are going to be flames flying everywhere. The reality is you're sitting in an air-conditioned pulpit. Right?
with like a mile of the world's most amazing technology going down the way. It is amazing.
Right. And, people don't think of it as being, and that was the third thing I was going to say, is people don't think of it as being high-tech, right? Manufacturing they think of as pounding something, and they don't recognize that it's a very, very, very technical industry today. And the highly engineered and precise products that we make are nothing like the stuff that was made 30 years ago. So the industry has changed, but people's perception of it hasn't.
You and I have had a lot of frank conversations about equity, about diversity in manufacturing, in the region. We also know that while there's been great increases, especially in supervisor managerial levels in people of color in manufacturing, it's still vastly underrepresented in the field.
Leadership.
And it's super underrepresented in leadership.
Yep.
Now you see that. What do you see as potential solutions there? And really, what's at the heart of that?
I mean, our history is at the heart of it. I mean, this is just a cross-manufacturing challenge that we have. Ethnic diversity and gender diversity in manufacturing has historically been very, very, very low. So yes, we've made progress, and people always want to get a significant applause for progress. From my perspective, 1 is greater than 0, but it's still a low number. And we have to define what we really want as success in terms of what should the environments look like, and we can't be satisfied until we make it happen. So as opposed to giving the opportunity and expecting that people will succeed, we have to put extra effort in to make people successful in those roles. You got to be intentional about changing that if that's what we want to do. I mean, but let's be clear. Let's not say it's what we want to do and not be intentional about it.
What does being intentional and putting the effort in look like to you?
If you really want to change what the face of the organization looks like, then go out and mentor some people who look different and act different than you. You're going to expand and learn, and at the same time, you give other people opportunity, right? I do it all the time. Half the people that I mentor are women, right? Because I recognize that in this environment, they have challenges too. And I know that I'm fortunate because I've gotten to the level within manufacturing that I have, and I want to make sure that other people have similar opportunities. But you got to be intentional about it.
So talking about just Northeast Ohio, what are the assets that we have that we can really build on for manufacturers for the next 10 years?
And we have one of the largest manufacturing cores in the U.S. From an automotive standpoint, from an aerospace standpoint. I mean, the assets we have are all the companies we have, as well as the physical assets of all the people that have been trained in how we manufacture now. We need to invest in that. And how do we get the people here to learn the potential new skills that are going to prepare them to be part of the workforce of the future? But it's more than just the manufacturers. The community has to invest in it if we want Ohio to be a major manufacturing hub going forward. So if you look at Silicon Valley or Boston, you have these areas that are huge technology incubators, and it's part of the culture. For a manufacturing incubator, we have some capability here, but it's not necessarily something that you think about and say, wow, Northeast Ohio is the incubator for manufacturing technology. I would like to see everybody in the country look at our region as the place where if you want to see the latest manufacturing stuff, you go to Northeast Ohio, right? I mean, we need to have people continually flying in here, seeing the cool stuff that we're doing in Northeast Ohio, because we're leading the country as the incubator of new manufacturing processes and technology.